Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new session of Ashram Talks. I'm so happy to be here again with you. And today we're discussing chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, and we're going to go through this topic, which is there's no place like home. So I'd like to open today's session with a question about your experience. Like, have you ever felt like you're an outsider? Maybe in your own family or in a group of friends, you feel like you don't belong anymore. And the reason why I'm asking this is because, as you can see, today's topic is related to belonging somewhere, right? And we have there's no place like home. And what actually makes us feel home in this material world maybe is connected to our bodily conceptions, right? Depending on our personality or our quieter habits, we're gonna feel more home in one place than the other. But in this Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is not only talking to Arjun in terms of who he is in this material world. Although this conversation starts with Krishna trying to explain Arjun why he should fight, why he should act, and follow his duty as a warrior, he's also explaining spiritual knowledge, and he's letting him know that beyond a warrior, he is a spirit soul. So we have an identity as spirit souls, and that also means that in relation to this identity, we have a place where we belong to. But how can we get closer to this place, or how do we know where we belong to in terms of spiritual souls? So to guide us through this topic, I'm so glad to welcome Krsnacandra, who's going to guide us, and I'm very excited because I know you're going to, bring some analogies and stories on stage. Really exciting! I cannot wait to hear.
Thank you. I'm excited too. I always seem to come up with some stories and ideas like literally like a day or two before this starts. So I surprise myself. It's all due to Guru and Gauranga. So I'm looking
Thank you
forward to
so much. Thank you, Krsnacandra. So you can dive right into the topic.
Jai. Okay, before I begin, I'm just going to do a short prayer and then I'm going to read the verse. Om Anjana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindabaneshwari Brishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Om Vrindaye Tulasi Deviyai Priyavai Keshavasucha Krishna Bhakti Pradidevi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebho Vaishnavebho Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 9. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvaha tyaktva deham punar janma naitimam etri sorjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. In the previous verse, Krishna reveals something extraordinary, that although he appears in this world, he is not like us. And he also explained why he comes: to protect Dharma and to guide humanity. But now in this verse, Krishna tells us something more personal. What happens to us if we truly understand his appearance? It's actually a very simple process. There was a film from 1939 entitled The Wizard of Oz. The protagonist, Dorothy, left her Kansas home to go to a fantastic land called Oz, which, although it possessed amazing wonders, it was also quite dangerous. She went on a journey to find a man known as the Wizard of Oz, who was known to be a very powerful magician. Eventually, she finds this wizard only to discover that he was a complete fraud. By the end of the film, the good witch Glinda tells Dorothy that she had the power to return to her home in Kansas all along. All she had to do was to click her heels and repeat the mantra, "There's no place like home." But Dorothy had to undergo a journey first before attaining this realization. But once she attained it, she was quickly able to return home. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder of the worldwide Hare Krishna movement, wrote in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam 8:24-52, "The real purpose of life is to go back home, back to Godhead, and live with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, play with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, dance with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and eat with the Supreme Personality of Godhead." He also explained in the purport of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 1, verse 56, that one should try to purchase a ticket to go back home, back to Godhead. And the price of such a ticket is one's intense desire for it. Srila Prabhupada frequently said back home, back to Godhead, because our home is ultimately with Krishna. Think of this material world like the Land of Oz from the film The Wizard of Oz. The material world is a fantastic place. It has a wide variety of landscapes, and we can become so many different things and go on so many different adventures. There are 8.4 million different kinds of species of life, and we inevitably take birth in as all of them, one at a time. And when we have the chance to take birth as human beings, our adventures have just begun. We can take birth in any place of the world and take up a wide variety of roles. We can become a world-famous entertainer. We can even become the king of a country or a ruler of an empire. But we can't take any of this with us. Eventually, we're going to grow old and die and take birth again. And when we take birth again, like Krishna explains to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 5, "Many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot." Life begins, it continues, and it ends in the blink of an eye. And once our lives are finished, only Krishna can remember what we did. And the nature of our next life will be dependent on our thoughts and actions in our current life. We may think that we can consistently maintain lives of happiness and satisfaction, but anyone who thinks this has to believe they are perfect, and ultimately we know this is not so. There are powerful forces at work in the material world, and if we wish to stay here and we're unaware of the alternative, we're certainly going to remain under the control of those forces. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 14, Krishna warns Arjuna, O son of Kunti, the non permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due time and due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Padata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. And these forces are constantly in play, and they can only be subdued by us in extraordinary cases. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 34, Krishna explains attraction and repulsion for sense objects are felt by embodied beings, but one should not fall under the control of senses and sense objects because they are the stumbling blocks on the path of self realization. We have indeed fallen under the control of our senses and the sense objects of this material world. This addiction has caused us to act in our own self-interest. In this process, karma is accrued according to our actions. Inevitably, we will be the cause of pain and suffering to others, and we will have to pay for our actions via karma, which will shape the circumstances of our next life. Even those who understand the nature of the material world may believe they can continue to enjoy a beautiful life and go on beautiful adventures, but inevitably, we all have to suffer here. It is extremely difficult to walk here without stepping on ants and other small insects, and I mean this both literally and metaphorically. In our quest to enjoy, we will inevitably step on the toes of others. And then, according to the laws of karma, we will have to pay. In Sanatana Dharma, what others sometimes refer to as Hinduism, there are voluminous scriptures. And the Bhagavad Gita, which we're reading now, it's the ultimate go-to manual. Krishna spoke it to Arjuna in order to inform all of us of the true nature of the material world and how we can plan our departure. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7:14, this divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. The three modes of material nature are what permeate material existence. It's what fosters this attraction to happiness and aversion to misery that keeps us forever bound here. In the beginning, it could seem like a virtually impossible endeavor, but it is surrendering to Krishna that makes this crossing easy. In the very beginning of our spiritual journey, it may seem academic. Somehow, we acquire a copy of the Bhagavad Gita and we learn that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is from the spiritual sky, which is our original home. And our goal is to leave this material world and be with Krishna. We believe it to be true, but how can we completely accept it? In that verse, Krishna says, once we surrender, what was once an impenetrable barrier becomes easy to cross. Surrender is a strong word. To surrender to Krishna, we must have faith first. We must know who Krishna is. We can't surrender without these things fully in place. That's why Krishna tells Arjuna in chapter 4, verse 9, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. Once we get to the point where we encounter Krishna, predominantly through scriptures such as the Bhagavad Gita, one major obstacle is misunderstanding Krishna. And in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 11, it says, Krishna says, "Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be." Krishna appeared on this earth approximately 5,000 years ago in his original form, appearing human, but with abilities far beyond that of an ordinary human being. He defeated many demons as a child and resided on our earth for over 100 years in his eternally youthful form. And some may say these events never happened, or that Krishna was simply a very strong and talented person like you or I, but they would be wrong, and it all stems from a lack of faith. Chapter 7, verse 24 says, "Unintelligent men who know me not think that I have assumed this form and personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is changeless and supreme." Krishna did not assume his form, since it's his eternal form to begin with. Changeless and supreme, as he said. So how do we ultimately get to know Krishna for who he is? The answer, the key, lies in finding someone who is already not covered by the material energy, who already knows him. And Krishna says in chapter 4, verse 34, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. The Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, verse 54 also says, "Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy." That means the verdict of all revealed scriptures is that by even a moment's association with the pure devotee, one can attain all success. The pure devotee appears as the spiritual master. This is an individual who knows Krishna. They're not influenced by the modes of material nature, and through their love and compassion, they reach out to the souls affected by the material energy and seek to teach them about Krishna. When I first met my spiritual teacher, my guru, Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Goswami Maharaj, I could immediately understand that he was not an ordinary person. He exuded love, sweetness, and humility. He did not even have to say one word in order for me to realize this. I believe this is Madhya Lila 2254 in practice. It only took a very short moment for me to see my guru for the first time and realize he was unlike anyone I had ever previously encountered in my life. And more than anything else, I wanted to stay with him and hear from him. And every moment I had experienced in his association felt heavenly. He had come to New York on August 23rd, 2001. 2 days later, on the 25th, it was Radhastami, which is one of our most sacred holidays, the birth of Srimati Radharani. I can't remember whether or not a program we had was canceled, but on that holy day we did have some free time, and we had decided to go to the World Trade Center, to the Twin Towers. And we went into Tower 2, like as if we were tourists. And as we were going up the elevator, we all started to sing Harinam Sankirtan. We chanted Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, in song. And we all continued to sing at the top floor of Tower 2, and nobody stopped us. In fact, strangers started to dance, and my Guru Maharaj also danced, and he was approximately 88 years old at that time. And by the evening of that day, a group of devotees who were also disciples of his, we had traveled to a nearby temple to get darshan of the deities. And we had been so spiritually fired up from our experience that we got out of our car at every red light and would sing and dance. And when the light turned green, we would go back in our car and go out and sing and dance again at the next red light. And it was not mechanical at all. It was really spontaneous because we were just so happy and blissed out because what our Guru Maharaj shared with us was so sublime. The Sankirtan that day was so pure that nobody interfered with us, nobody asked us to leave. Our Guru Maharaj shared the holy name of the Lord in the same place that would eventually become a place of sad and tragic history on September 11th. In a sense, the World Trade Center was like Kurukshetra, a site where many people would sadly lose their lives right after the events of the Bhagavad Gita, but where divine knowledge was shared. In the case of Kurukshetra, this is where Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. In the case of the World Trade Center, Sankirtan, or the congressional chanting of the holy name, was blissfully sang without obstruction. 17 days later, that same place became the site of immense tragedy. And I've often reflected on that a place where the holy name was sung so purely in the presence of a pure devotee, it was not just an ordinary place. And in our tradition, such moments leave a spiritual imprint on a place, and we call that a tirtha. Just as Kurukshetra was sacred, I can't help but feel that the holy name was offered there in a way that touched that place and perhaps touched the heart of many that came there afterward. In the 3 years that followed, I spent about 2 or 3 months out of each year with my Guru Maharaj. I had spent morning, noon, and evening with him day after day, and he was always sweet and saintly. Books are a very helpful way to learn about Krishna, but ultimately, when we meet a pure devotee of Krishna in person, we immediately process an undeniable aura of sweetness that originates directly from Krishna. When we meet an individual who loves Krishna so much and has already surrendered to him, then we already have a strong link to Krishna himself. Because simply by meeting such a person, we now have an indelible mark on our hearts. When we become that Guru student, then we are deeply connected to Krishna via our Guru in the Guru Parampara, otherwise known as the disciplic succession. Krishna is at the head of this succession. Then our journey of getting to know Krishna better and develop our relationship with him can truly begin. Inevitably, we will make mistakes, but just as inevitably, we will be led back to our Guru and to Krishna. And several talks ago, I spoke about a period of my life when I had lost a lot of money and became so despondent that I had to quit my spiritual life, or at least left it in abeyance. And years later, a friend had convinced me to play the sitar for him and his friends, but my sitar was damaged, so I looked for a repairman. And once I found him, he invited me to his house. Before he examined my sitar, he approached a photograph of his musical guru, and he gave him pranams, or respected obeisances. And in that short moment, I immediately remembered how I used to give pranams to my own guru. I felt my relationship with my guru came to the forefront of my consciousness. And I had a strong desire to chant the Mahamantra again and to read our scriptures, such as the Bhagavad Gita. And to me, this event represents the power of the pure devotee to bring prodigal disciples back. Despite facing more hardships after that, I felt my relationship with my guru and therefore my relationship with Krishna strengthen due to my increased determination to maintain that relationship, to never risk losing it ever again. And maintaining this relationship with Guru is essential to knowing the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and activities, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 9. And once we do that, Krishna says that we attain his eternal abode. And what is that eternal abode? Chapter 15, verse 6, Krishna says, that abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or the moon, nor by electricity. One who reaches it never returns to this never returns to this material world. Even the light there, it's not like light here. It's self-illuminating because everything is connected to Krishna. And in chapter 8, verse 21, Krishna says, that supreme abode is unmanifested and infallible. It's the supreme destination. When one goes there, he never comes back. That is my supreme abode. So it's not a place of temporary pleasure, nor does it perpetuate the cyclical existence we're accustomed to in the material world. Krishna's abode is eternal. Time is the greatest destroyer in this material world, but it's not so in Krishna's abode. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2:9-10, we learn that in that a personal abode of the Lord, the material modes of ignorance and passion do not prevail, nor is there any of their influence in goodness. There is no predominance of the influence of time, what to speak of the illusory external energy. It cannot enter that region. Without discrimination, both the demigods and the demons worship the Lord as devotees. There is no time there because time does not erode anything. And it's also inclusive. It doesn't matter where you came from, whether you were once a demigod or a demon, all souls come together as devotees. And now I'm going to share two of my favorite verses of the Sri Brahma Samhita. First, verse 29 that says, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. And this is beautiful beyond imagination, but it's important to note what Krishna is doing in his eternal abode. He's tending to the cows, and he's surrounded by loving relationships. And the last verse that I want to quote is Sri Brahma Samhita, verse 56. I worship that transcendental seat known as Svetadvip, where as loving consorts, the Lakshmis, in their unalloyed spiritual essence, practice the amorous service of the Supreme Lord Krishna as their only lover, where every tree is a transcendental purpose tree, where the soil is the purpose gem, all water is nectar, every word is a song, every gate is a dance, the flute is the favorite attendant, effulgence is full of transcendental bliss, and the supreme spiritual entities are all enjoyable and tasty, where numberless milk cows always emit transcendental oceans of milk, where there is eternal existence of transcendental time, who is ever present and without past or future, and hence is not subject to the quality of passing away, even for the space of half a moment. That realm is known as Goloka only to a very few self-realized souls in this world. I wish to share a story. And just a couple of days ago, I was invited by a longtime dear friend of mine who is also on this spiritual path to go to his house. And I hadn't seen him. It had almost been like half a year. And I was very excited. And he actually has a very beautiful home, very tastefully decorated, but he also has the most beautiful view of the Hudson River and the New York City skyline. I enjoyed experiencing this beautiful opulence, but more than that, I relished being with my old friend again, speaking to him for hours and sharing a meal, sharing some laughs. And I would have happily gone to meet him, whether it was to go to his beautiful home or anywhere else. And similarly, we need to develop that kind of relationship with Krishna where it's not simply attachment to his beautiful divine abode or a desire to escape the deficit of happiness or beauty in our own lives, but our desires must be transfixed on Krishna himself, which again is best accomplished through association with his pure devotees. And when Krishna says that one who understands his divine birth and activities comes to him, he's not just talking about escaping this world, he's inviting us back to his world. And when we hear that, we might think of heaven, a place of comfort, beauty, and enjoyment. And yes, Krishna's abode is described as more beautiful than anything we can imagine. But what makes it truly spiritual, it's not the scenery, it's the relationship. It's a place where every step is in connection with Krishna, where love is not temporary, it's not interrupted, and not misunderstood. So the goal, it's not just to go somewhere better. The goal is to go back to someone, to Krishna. I thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had like a technical issue there. Okay. So, Prabhu, thank you so much. Before I bring like my comments and questions, I'd like to here bring forward this Colleen's comment about your class. Like, thank you, Colleen, for being here with us. Like, she's a wonderful class. Thank you, Krsnacandra. Lovely to hear about your guru dancing in the Twin Towers and at the traffic lights. Yes.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. So what I plan to do, I'm going to drop a link in the comments. It's going to be a video of our Guru Maharaj dancing. Well, we're all singing together Sankirtan in the Twin Towers, Radhastami 2001. I'm going to put that in the comments, and I'm hoping people will enjoy that.
Of course. Yeah, that would be great, really. So I really love how this class was so beautifully connected. Like from you started with this reading the verse and then presenting this analogy to the point that you also quoted these verses describing this spiritual abode verse. This
Mhm.
verse of the Bhagavad Gita is referring to, and also how this experience you had with your spiritual master
Mhm.
that you mentioned that at some point like you stopped like your spiritual path like briefly that
Mhm.
you were not so connected and at the beginning you had mentioned that before Dorothy realized that there was no better place than home, she had to go, she had to come to this realization. So it's also like connected to that, like we all have to face, maybe we receive this knowledge but still we don't actually understand what it is about, or we don't have complete faith, or we don't actually know what it means. And that's where my question goes,
Mhm.
because it says one who understands the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities.
Mhm.
What is the word understand here? What does it mean? Because we know it doesn't mean like, okay, Arjun, do you understand that I'm transcendental? Like Krishna could ask him. It's not just about intellectually understand it.
Mhm.
It's something that goes beyond.
It goes beyond intellectual understanding. Absolutely. I mean, what's funny, like there's this one like analogy that Prabhupada used about the there's a jar of honey, and the honey you it's not opened, it's shut, and if you lick the outside of the container, you're not going to experience any sweetness. It has to be opened first. So opening that proverbial jar of honey, you can't do it just through like mental gymnastics, or you can't just read all these books and learn places and things and order of events, things like that. It comes through realization, and that realization, it comes through a variety of things. The most important way is through sadhu sangha. It's through the association of devotees. The more advanced that devotee is, the more you're going to understand in a short time. And unfortunately, we do have a short time in this world. So if we do find a pure devotee, that's the most effective way to understand. And it's just they can, like, for example, give you a class and speak about things Krishna did, and you could probably get those facts from a book as well, but it's just when you hear it from them, and when you actually witness their example, then that is what really, that's what, like, knowing Krishna, that's the process of knowing that he's talking about. It's not about memorizing facts, it's about that process of getting to know him. And we can also do that through Sankirtan and through Seva, serving the devotees, serving Krishna. But it's through Sadhu Sangha, that's the ultimate conduit.
Yes, that makes me think that I always like to think of this analogy of the mind being like a white canvas.
Mm,
So, because I heard from a spiritual master that it doesn't matter that, you don't have to actually touch somebody or be in like in physical contact with somebody to receive what's on their mind, or to receive, like this material world's energy, what their minds are filled with. You can just receive it by associating with that person and just seeing what they do. So it's like the mind is like this white canvas, and if you're in contact with this passion, mood of this nature,
mhm,
it automatically gets stained. Like it's very subtle. So it's the same when you're with pure devotees, with
mhm,
people who are dedicated to spiritual practice. Maybe you don't notice it, but
mhm.
it's just enough to be around them and
Yes.
respect them to get all their good qualities. Like it's just gonna come automatically.
Absolutely, it does come automatically. And that canvas, that's our soul. And the paint is the samskar that we receive from that encounter. And I'll tell you another story. I was, of course, raised by my mother was kind of a casual Catholic, and she had very little experience with. She saw devotees, including Prabhupada in the '60s, but from a distance. She didn't speak to them in person. But she spoke to my Guru Maharaj in person when he first came to New York, and he gave her the Maha Mantra. He actually spoke to her, and as she was repeating after him, she cried, and that was a very sweet moment. And just that. And my mom was not the type to cry that much. She was. I could probably count on one hand like the times that she cried that I personally saw, but that was one of them. So it's that these, I'm like I said, these pure devotees, they're not ordinary people at all. And when we encounter them, that is when our hearts change, and we can really embrace this path and not give up. And like you saw in my life, there was a time I did give up for a short time, but it was short. I just needed a reminder, really. And I think that really works for everyone who's in that situation.
Yes, because sometimes we don't have many opportunities to, you know, be around pure devotees. Recently, we had a devotee meeting here in Colombia, and it was really nice to be able to
Sure.
get together after a whole year. Like, there is a point in the year that I feel like I'm so tired of not having this opportunity to, get around with people who are only focused on this. So yeah, that's actually necessary. It's a must. And what you told about your mom, it's really touching because it also makes you feel like, okay, this process is real. Like, it's
Yes.
not, it's not only me, it's not only this or that. It's like somebody I know well, as you knew your mother.
Yes.
Then you actually see her crying at it. Okay, you just spoke. She just spoke to him. Now he's giving her the mantra, but she's actually feeling it. So
Yeah.
the soul is feelings, and everything is about feelings, developing feelings for God, which is
Yes.
not easy.
Mhm.
And yes, it's those moments that are like those reminders, like this process is real. Like, it doesn't matter what, you have to come back, even if you, yeah, go away for a while. You have to get back to the process.
Yes. And it's, like moments like that, they're completely spontaneous. There was a similar one, when I was traveling with my Guru Maharaj. We were in Spain, and I said this before on different lectures, but he would always ask me if I took prasadam. Every day he would ask me if I took prasadam. He would, and and then one day I was in the cottage that he was living for a short time, and he just went right into the kitchen, and he was going through all the pots and pans and everything, and he was looking to like make a plate of prasadam for me. And at the time, he was almost 90 years old, and he had somebody helping him, a devotee. He was right there. He didn't ask the devotee, "Hey, can you help Krsnacandra over there?" He got it from me directly, and that's it's just these small, even small things that they make an impression on us, and that helps us that we don't forget. At least, I mean, I believe it does carry on to other lifetimes, but this lifetime especially, we can kind of regroup when we stumble, and we can keep going. We can persevere and finish what we started.
Thank you so much, Krishna Chandra, for sharing this. And I'm absolutely looking forward to the link that you're gonna drop in the comment section, or I don't know, or you can leave it just here, or you can also share with us through VM, or we can share with others. Yeah, but it would be really nice if you could just drop it here in the comments so everyone who's watching
Oh,
later can see it.
okay. In the comments, just
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, you can do that after our session. There's no problem. Like, you
Oh,
can
okay,
come back.
great.
You know,
No problem. I'll take care of it.
yes, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to share this conversation with you and hearing from you about this topic. And thank you for sharing all your stories. I think they're very practical and actually help us understand this spiritual topic in a real life situation, which is also very important.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you so much. You're an amazing host, and you just appreciate all your questions. Heartfelt. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that to see that, well, you feel happy with what we're doing here at Ashram Talks, and
Jai.
I hope to see you in the next episode then.
Absolutely. Krishna.
And thank you everyone for joining today. If you couldn't join our live session, please remember that you can watch the videos later. They are on our YouTube channel at Ashram Talks English. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at Ashram Talks ENG. And we're also streaming on Spotify. Give me a moment. I always forget. Okay, so yes, so you can go to Spotify and we appear as Journey through the Bhagavad Gita. So there are some episodes already there. You can listen to them anytime. And just a kind reminder that you can catch our live sessions every Monday at 7:30 p.m. and also Thursdays at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, okay, Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much again for joining, and I hope to see you on the next Ashram Talks episode. Remember, our next class is going to be on Thursday. Have a great day from wherever you're watching us, and once again, thank you so much.